Power scaling. It's a process as old as time, pitting two forces together in your mind, trying to figure out which one would win. It's a strategy that used to be used by our ancestors to assess real-life danger that is now used to see if Homelander can take a single punch from Superman. And spoiler alert, he can't. And just like my ancestors before me, I will be using this method today to determine once and for all who is the strongest video game Hulk. Now, initially, I wanted to pit every single version of Hulk against one another to truly see who was the strongest Hulk, but as I was, conducting my research, I realized that not only would this video be over an hour long, it wouldn't be fair. You see, in video games, you can fail, resulting in the Hulk's death, and that failure can be quantified. But in movies, we don't ever see the Hulk die. Therefore, any theatrical version of Hulk would automatically have an advantage over all of these iterations. But don't worry, I'm already working on a second video to see who would be the strongest Hulk in movies. But for now, let's go ahead and focus on the video game adaptations. It should come as no surprise that the Incredible Hulk has been featured in a multitude of different video games, ranging from LEGO games to team-based strategy games, and even a handful of open-world games. Now, it's worth mentioning I did not include games like Marvel Ultimate Alliance or Marvel Midnight Suns in this video, because there are so many different factors that can alter the data. But with that being said, let's go ahead and just move on. In order to properly pit these Hulks against one another, I created a power scaling method I like to call the Hulkometer. I started my documentation with the 2008 Incredible Hulk video game, and I used this as a basis for my Hulkometer. First, I documented how many hits does it take to knock out one enemy. Then I went on to how many hits does it take to destroy a car, how many hits does it take to destroy a building, how many feats can Hulk perform, and I'll explain what those are in a minute. How many hits does it take to fully take down a larger enemy like a mech, a big fig, or like some larger creature? How many hits does it take to destroy a larger vehicle like a tank or an ATV? And finally, how many hits does it take for Hulk to be fully defeated? Now, I know that's a lot to take in, so here it is on the screen. As for feats, I determined them to be larger showcases of strength that can't exactly be quantified. For example, Lego Hulk doesn't take any damage unless it's from a big fig, so that counts as a feat. The goal of this Hulkometer is to have the lowest score possible. Let me explain. If you're Hulk and it takes you 5 hits to take out one human, you aren't really that strong. But at the same time, if you can perform 9 feats and you take 25 hits to die, you might be stronger than your average Hulk. So in order to do this properly, I'm going to take the sum of all the data and subtract it by the feats category and the hits taken category. But with all that being said, let's get into our first video game, The Incredible Hulk 2008. 2008. The MCU was just born with the global success of Iron Man, and fans were anxiously awaiting The Incredible Hulk, a movie that would become the second installment of one of the greatest cinematic franchises in history. Whether you love the MCU or hate it, you cannot deny its influence on culture and movies as a whole. And the marketing for this movie was absolutely insane. You had Burger King toys, Hulk hands, and of course, the movie tie-in video game, Incredible Hulk. This video game was developed by Edge of Reality and published by none other than Sega. Yeah, that Sega. I put a side note in my notes right here, and I was like, oh, I'll film it and I'll know what this means. I don't know what this means. I'm gonna read it from my phone. Side note, I just watched the Burger King ad for the first time in years, and it has the dude that does the pizza dance from TikTok. I don't know what that means. I'm gonna rewatch the ad real quick. Oh, okay, I know what that means now. Anyways, released for Xbox 360, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, and of course the Nintendo Wii, this game was met with pretty much average reviews. Which, I mean, honestly, for a movie tie-in game, that's not all that bad. Nowadays, fans look back in appreciation for the game's destructive mechanics. The game opens with Bruce losing control at the soda factory from the film. This is basically the first tutorial where we get to try out all of Hulk's abilities. And it's here we get to determine our first 2 data entries. Number 1, how many hits does it take to take down a human? And number 2, how many hits does it take to knock out a larger enemy? For a human, it's only 1 hit, and you'd think that'd be the case given that this is a video about Hulks, but oh boy, just you wait. Now, as for this larger enemy, it takes about 10 regular hits and 5 heavy hits. giving us an average of about 7.5 if you're mixing them. And after the intro, we're thrust into New York, where we can do basically anything we want. And let me just say, this was such a fun blast from the past. The first thing I went ahead and did was destroy a building. Now, for those who don't know, every building in the Incredible Hulk is destructible. You can destroy it. It's an amazing feat that really makes you feel like the titular green rage monster. It takes about 16 regular hits or 18 heavy hits to fully destroy a building, giving us an average of roughly 17. But of course, destroying a building is likely to attract the attention of the military, especially in New York, if you know what I'm saying. At first, they'll send just foot soldiers, but after a while, they will send a multitude of different enemies to try and take you down. Before the military forces arrived, I learned that it took 1 hit to wreck a car and 2 to destroy it. And soon after the military arrived, I found out it takes 7 regular hits to destroy a Humvee, or 4 heavy hits, giving us an average of about 5.5. But now that we've determined how strong other things are, let's see how many hits we can take. This was honestly a lot more difficult than I was expecting. At first I thought maybe I could isolate myself with 1 human and see how long it takes, but they send so many people after you, it's damn near impossible. Although the one enemy type I can isolate myself with is the mech, and that's exactly what I did. After isolating the mech, I was able to see just how many hits I could take. I found out that it took roughly 13 hits for the mech to fully kill me. And I also found out that it takes about 6 seconds for bullets to take out 1 health bar. And then I realized I wasn't super sure how to quantify that. So for video's sake, we're just gonna go ahead and go with the mech. And after inputting all of this data, we can confidently say this iteration of Hulk has a power meter of 36, making him honestly a lot weaker than I had initially thought. For our next game, let's go ahead and go back in time to 2005 for Incredible Hulk Ultimate Destruction. Released on GameCube, PlayStation 2, and Xbox, Incredible Hulk Ultimate Destruction was also developed by Radical Entertainment and published by Vivendi Universal Games. This game redefined the Hulk genre. You see, up until this point, all we really had were beat-em-up games or the lackluster 2003 video game, which we'll get to soon. This was the first full-fledged open-world Hulk game where you could destroy buildings, cars, people, and do whatever you want. It's essentially the backbone for the game we just played. Needless to say, this game was met with overwhelmingly positive reviews, and it's still held in high regard to this day. I personally enjoyed playing this one the most out of any of the games I played. We start off in the desert, narrated by none other than Ron Perlman himself.
Hulk excels at destruction.
He explains what we're currently playing is a simulation of the Hulk used to train soldiers of just the sheer power the Hulk has. After the tutorial, we are again thrown into New York where we are able to do whatever we may please. First things first, let's see how many hits it takes to take down a human. It's 1. See that? See, 1, that's it. Okay, now let's see how many hits it takes to destroy a car. 1, 2, 3, 5. Takes 5 hits. What about destroying a building? Wow, that's a lot. 21. It takes 21 hits. We actually need to recalculate that. You see, in this game, you can charge your punches. Not just doing a light or a heavy, you can actually charge each one. So while a light hit might do 5 points of damage, a heavy hit would do 8, a charged light would do 7, and a charged heavy would do about 10. So if we take all of that into account, it takes about 18 heavy hits, 21 regular hits, 13 charged light attacks, and 8 charged heavy attacks. That is a lot of data, but let's go ahead and grab the average. Assuming you'll be using a mixture of all of these different attack types, it will take you roughly 15 hits to fully destroy a building. That was a lot. So now, what about health? Well, this was actually even harder to calculate. And if I'm being completely honest, I don't know if I got the most accurate data I could. Mainly because the only damage I was really able to quantify were from missiles. And with that being said, it takes about 22 missiles to fully take this big boy down. But that doesn't kill you. No, it puts you into overdrive, which gives us our first feat. 24 will do the trick just fine though. Just 2 more and you're dead. But what about the other feats? Well, let's go ahead and take a look. Not only do you not die when your health depletes, you can then perform an atomic smash, decimating almost everything in your path. So yeah, needless to say, definitely add that to the list. Oh, he can also jump thousands of miles, presumably in one leap, as seen in this cutscene here. and he can also run up walls with absolutely no issue. That gives us a total of 4 feats. Adding all of this up, we get a score of 31, making this Hulk stronger than the 2008 Incredible Hulk by 5 points. I just gotta say, I really, really love this game. I played it when I was young. It's one of the most fun superhero games out there, and I'm a really big fan of how whenever you're going up to an objective, it just kind of does this like weird out-of-body experience. So I'm a big fan of that. If you haven't played this game already, I highly recommend it. But let's go ahead and move on to the 2003 Hulk tie-in movie game. This game would prove to be a pivotal moment for the Hulk in video games. It defined him as a character and gave us features that we had never seen before. That being said, it still fucking sucks. Just like the 2005 iteration, you start off in the desert, and immediately you can notice you can't move your camera. It's all very wonky. But we do get to see one of the first feats, which is that you can actually deflect a missile back at a tank. So let's go ahead and notate that down. After this opening, we are given quite possibly the worst opening to a Hulk game ever. So you just went through and tested Hulk's powers, saw his destructive capabilities. You would want to go play as the Hulk. Well, guess what, buddy boy? After the tutorial, mission number 1, you play as Bruce Banner on a stealth mission where you cannot get caught. Fun. I will give the game this. It's interesting to see the Bruce Banner storylines, but holy shit are these boring. I mean, genuinely, these will make the MJ missions from Spider-Man PS4 look like fucking Metal Gear Solid.
No one hears the word they say.
Don't get me wrong, you know, I get what the developers are trying to do. They're trying to do something different, show you the duality of Bruce Banner and the Hulk. I get that, but brother, I'm buying a Hulk video game. I don't want to do this shit. I want to smash. That's all he does. You go Hulk smash. I want to do that. Regardless, this game is actually met with really positive reviews because, as I said before, this was the first time we saw Hulk in a 3D form with these kind of powers. But let's go ahead and start off from the beginning and see how many hits it takes for a regular enemy. Unlike the first 2 games, it actually takes 3 light hits or 1 heavy hit to fully take down a human or a light enemy, giving us a grand average of about 2. But when it comes to defeating a larger enemy, Hulk will have to use 7 light hits or 4 heavy hits to take them down, giving us another average of about 5.5. Destroying a car takes about 5 hits, and whenever it comes to destroying a larger vehicle, there really isn't anything like that in this game. There's no Humvees, not any like really tanks or anything. Oh fuck, there are tanks. Can you destroy those? I put NA. I just put not acclimatable, but I'm now realizing that might be wrong. It's okay. I'm gonna continue. I'm gonna continue. It's fine. Later, when we tally up the points, we will negate these sections and kind of create an average to see where all the Hulks stand amongst one another. That being said, you also cannot destroy a building, so that also goes into the NA. Okay. As for feats, this Hulk has a couple. As already stated, you can punch a missile back towards wherever it was shot from. That's pretty cool. That's a big feat. You can also perform an advanced thunderclap, as well as an advanced ground smash. As for destroying building assets like windows or walls, that you actually can do. So for a window, it takes 2 hits. For a non-integral wall, it takes 3, but if it's an integral wall, meaning it's a wall that was placed there that you have to destroy to move the story along, it takes about 14. All in all, it takes around 8.25 hits to destroy assets. All right, now comes damage. This was very hard to quantify. I did my absolute best, and these are the results I got. From what I could gather, it takes roughly 39 hits to kill the Hulk. It also only takes 14 missiles to kill the Hulk, giving us roughly 26.5 hits to fully take him down. Totaling up our points, that gives us a staggeringly low 20.75, making him the strongest Hulk so far. Now that we've looked at the older open world games, let's take a look at the more modern open world games with LEGO Superheroes 1. In 2013, LEGO jumped on the Marvel hype train and created one of the best video games known to man, LEGO Marvel Superheroes. Based on the titular sets that were releasing at the time and developed by Traveler's Tales, this game sees you playing nearly every single character from the Marvel Comics mythos. Using the same open world engine from LEGO Batman 2, fucking shout out to a legend, this game upped the ante by like 20. This is truly a love letter to Marvel as a whole, but let's go ahead and get into the Hulk. This version of Hulk actually has a lot going for him. Not only is this the first time players could easily swap between Bruce Banner and Hulk, it gives us this awesome animation along with it. This of course gives us our first feat, being able to control your anger. For the rest of the test, I went ahead and replayed some story missions and then documented from there. It was actually here I attempted to see how many hits it would take to fully kill me, and to my surprise, I was taking absolutely no damage. I tested this over and over and over again, and I found out that regular enemies cannot damage the Hulk at all. The only real thing you can take damage from is big figs, which we'll get to that in a minute. The fact that you don't take any damage from light enemies at all is obviously a feat. After my failed attempt at dying, I went ahead and tested how many hits it would take to destroy a car. I found, regardless of size, it takes one hit to fully destroy a car. That's crazy. That's insane. But going back to damage, as I said before, Hulk can be taken down by big figs. And in order to test this, I went ahead and swapped over to the extra character and turned him into Abomination, or whoever's on screen, I can't really remember who I chose, and then beat the shit out of Hulk. As you can see, it takes about 9 hits with regular health and regeneration to kill the Hulk, but if you have extra hearts on, it takes 18 hits. This gives us an average of 13 and a half. Some other notable feats include leaping, big fig capabilities, and dealing area damage. As for how many hits it takes for Hulk to take down a big fig or a large creature, it takes around 8, which is pretty standard given we just saw that it takes 9 to take him down. All of this totaled up gives us an astounding 16 points, making him the strongest Hulk so far. Let's just see how long it will stay that way. Moving on to LEGO Marvel's Avengers, released in 2016, 3 years after LEGO Marvel Superheroes 1. This LEGO game was different from Marvel Superheroes, as this was an official MCU tie-in, featuring levels from nearly every movie released after Avengers 1 and before Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, even going as far as adding DLC for Ant-Man, Civil War, and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Unlike LEGO Marvel Superheroes, this game only featured audio from the movies, giving us absolutely no voice acting and repeatable lines like this that make you want to hug yourself.
We got a window, 4, 3. We got a window, 4, 3. We got a window, 4, 3.
An interesting note about this game, however, is that it includes some comic book characters that have yet to be introduced in the MCU. There's a big list, so I'm just going to list all of them. For example, you could play as Sam Wilson, Captain America, America Chavez, Wiccan, Jane Foster Thor, and Kamala Khan. There is, of course, a notable exclusion of characters like the Fantastic Four and the X-Men. Given that this was an MCU tie-in game, they couldn't use those assets. Spider-Man was also notably absent until Sony launched an exclusive DLC including him from Civil War. But regardless of all of these MCU facts, let's go ahead and get into the Hulk. There's nothing different. I'm not even gonna bother doing the whole spiel here because everything is literally the same. I played it and it was all exactly the same animation, same physics, same everything, so he also gets a 16. Now let's go ahead and move on to LEGO Superheroes 2, the third LEGO Marvel video game. Now going into this, I assumed this version of Hulk would operate the exact same way because that's the pattern that was there. No, not at all. Dead wrong. As for strength, I went ahead and replayed a couple of levels from this video game. Just like in previous iterations, it only takes 1 hit to kill an enemy. The first real notable difference, however, is that these enemies now do damage to you. It takes 10 hits to kill the Hulk and 8 to kill Bruce Banner, and only 3 if a car decides to run you over, no matter what form you're in. This gives us an average of around 13 and a half hits to kill the Hulk. The second most notable difference is how many hits it takes to destroy a vehicle. Whereas in previous iterations it would only take 1 hit, it now takes a whopping 8. That's regardless of size. This is an 800% increase from the last 2 games, which is fucking insane. And when it comes to taking down a big fig, it gets even worse. It takes Hulk around 17 hits to kill a big fig. 17. That is nearly double what it would take in the previous installments. All in all, this version of Hulk comes in at a fucking staggeringly high 39, effectively making him the weakest Hulk so far. Now for the last two iterations of Hulk we're going to be looking at before tallying up our points are, of course, the two most recent iterations of the character. Really quickly, I know I mentioned this at the beginning of the video, but I want to reiterate that there are some notable omissions from this video, like Ultimate Alliance, Midnight Suns, or any of the Capcom games. And the reason being, again, is because a lot of these games, their strength is dependent upon factors that are just really hard to quantify. You guys get it. I didn't include those. If you want me to, I can do like a short talking about them and then include it in the bigger list. But for right now, we're going to ignore those video games. With that being said, let's get to the second last video game of this video, Marvel's Avengers. Released in 2020, Marvel's Avengers was one of the most promising superhero games of the 21st century. I remember being so excited for this game, only to be met with one of the most soulless gaming experiences ever. This game had so much potential, and the most it was truly able to accomplish was feeling like a poorly made imitation of the MCU. Which really fucking sucks, because I know a lot of talented people worked on this project. But with that being said, let's go ahead and take a look at the Hulk. I quickly learned that this Hulk can take out a light enemy in 3 hits. He can also destroy a car in 3 hits. And it takes about 25 hits, regardless if it's a heavy or a light hit, to take down a larger enemy. You can take about 16 hits before dying. Hits on buildings and larger cars don't really apply here. And there are only 2 feats. He has a rage-fueled run slam, and he can activate that said rage. I was really trying my best to be as generous as possible with this version of Hulk, but even with 2 non-applicable categories, he still comes in at 40 points, making him the current weakest Hulk. Ladies and gentlemen, drum roll please, it is time for the Hulk you all came to see. Marvel Rivals. Released in 2024, Marvel Rivals has quickly become one of the best FPS games of our time. Amassing over 40 million players in less than 5 months, developed by NetEase, Marvel Rivals is truly an Overwatch killer. With over 39 playable characters and a free-to-play format, it's no surprise that this game has been dubbed the Overwatch killer. But enough about how good this game is, let's get down to the nitty-gritty. Researching for this game was literally a walk in the park. The devs give you a practice room to try out all your cool moves, letting us see just how many hits it takes for everything. First, I wanted to see how many hits it would take on a regular dummy. In your Hulk form, it takes 7 hits to take out a light character, or like a DPS or a healer. In your ult form, it only takes 4, giving us an average about 5.5. As for your damage, it only takes... So at first I thought this would be really easy. And then I realized there are just so many factors to this. What if we're up against a healer? How about another tank? What about a DPS? All of these questions had to be answered in order to give this video any sense of validity. So I got the answers, and I went ahead and looked up which hero was the strongest and the weakest per class, and decided to see how many hits it would take to take down the Hulk for each one, and then get the average, and then get that average, and do a lot of math. Just so much math. As for taking down characters, oddly enough, it's still just 7 for any light character, so a DPS or a healer in your regular form, or 4 in your ult form. Tanks, however, vary by quite a bit. It can be anywhere from 17 hits or 22 hits in your regular form. And if you're in your ultimate form, it only takes 10 no matter the tank. All in all, for tanks, it takes about 15.6 hits. Now it's time for the hard part. How many hits can the Hulk take? As I said before, I researched the strongest and the weakest hero per class and decided to basically become them and kill the Hulk and just see how many hits it would take for each one, and then get the average. So then I would have the average amount of hits for each class, and then we could take those and then get the average of those numbers. Again, a lot of math. After doing this, which by the way, easily took like over 2 hours, I was able to come to the conclusion that it takes about 24 hits to kill the Hulk entirely. That's going from ultimate form to regular form to Bruce Banner form to death. Takes about 24. Also, it's worth mentioning that Jeff takes literally like 80 fucking hits to take the Hulk down, which is actually fucking insane and took forever to calculate. Look at this little fucking dude not doing any fucking damage. It's insane. Yeah, hi, Editing Geek Week here. I kind of forgot to mention the feats that Rivals Hulk has, so let's go ahead and go through those real quick. As for feats, this version of Hulk has 5. I'm going to explain what they are. So first things first, not only can you control your anger, you can also get to a point where you're so angry you go into another form known as the ultimate ability. That's 2. You can also use your stun ability to freeze characters in the air. That's another one. You also have a shield ability that puts yourself into like a gamma bubble that you can transfer to other players. That's definitely a feat. And our 5th and final one is you can do a thunderclap, which sends a gamma projectile towards your enemies. So those are the 5 feats. Sorry I didn't record that when I was on the green screen, but here they are. All in all, Marvel Rivals Hulk scored at 23.5. And with that, we have all of the necessary data to finally determine who is the strongest video game Hulk. Right off the bat, it is absolutely no surprise that Lego Hulk is the strongest. Regardless of negating any other categories for the other Hulks, Lego Hulk could solo any one of these guys any day of the week. But let's go ahead and ignore those categories to get our true final totals. Okay, so we just carry this and carry the... Wow. Well, would you look at that? When we ignore hits on buildings, hits on cars, hits on building assets, and destroying larger vehicles, our final scores tell a very different story. If we ignore all of those, the 2005 version of the Hulk comes out on top. But we cannot negate the fact that prior to ignoring these categories, Lego Hulk was on top regardless. He was definitely stronger than this version of the Hulk. So, in order to get a proper reading, we're going to take the first total and the negation total, add them together, and then divide by 2, and that will give us our final average. And I know you guys have been waiting a long time. This has been a very long video, so let's go ahead and get into it. So without further ado, our weakest Hulk is Marvel Avengers, sitting at a solid 34 points. That's with the average. That is so unbelievably weak. Which, I mean, really and truly, that's to be expected. No hate towards that game. A little hate towards that game. I feel like it should have been managed significantly better. The characters don't feel like the characters, and it shows. And now it's even showing more. So that's to be expected. Number 6, however, the second weakest Hulk, was a little surprising. At number 6, we have Lego Superheroes 2 sitting at a solid 28.5 points. I think it's really interesting that TT Games decided to kind of nerf the Hulk for this 3rd iteration of the Lego games. At number 5, we have Marvel Rivals Hulk sitting at 23.5 points. And at number 4, barely beating Marvel Rivals with quite literally a quarter of a point, we have the 2008 Incredible Hulk sitting at 23.25. Now it's time for our top 3 spacings. At number 3, we have 2005's Incredible Hulk Ultimate Destruction sitting at a solid 16 points. At number 2, to my utmost surprise, we have the 2003 iteration of the Hulk sitting at 14.125. I had to look over. I've been having to look over a little bit, but it's very specific. Honestly, I was really surprised that this Hulk did as well as he did, given the fact that it was a very limited space. But really and truly, that game makes you feel like Hulk in a pretty good way. And at number 1, no contest, we have Lego Hulk sitting at a 12.5. Absolutely insane. He could take on any Hulk and he would be A-okay. Brother is actually indestructible. And honestly, when I started this video, I wasn't expecting Lego Hulk to take the cake. I was thinking maybe 2008 Hulk or 2005, given that they can destroy buildings and like the pure destruction of it all. But goddamn, Lego Hulk's got some fucking game, man. But with that being said, that is all from me for right now. This video took so long to create. I mean, just so long. But honestly, I'm really proud of this video. It took me a really long time. I'm really confident in the evidence that I found. I'm really confident in the numbers that are shown, and it was really fun to do something very different for this channel. And if you guys like this video, please leave a like. I would love to do this for other characters. Like Spider-Man has so many different games, and that would be really fun to see who is truly the strongest Spider-Man. Because everyone thinks it's Yuri Lowenthal's, and I kind of agree. That's my assumption. But it might be fucking Web of Shadow Spider-Man. But like I said, that's all from me. I love you guys so much. Thank you guys so much for being here with me, watching my videos, subscribing. I've been really enjoying making this content for you guys, and I'm really excited to show you what I have in store and what's next. And it's just been a huge privilege. You know, my channel has grown like exponentially this last like year. So I'm really excited to see where it's going to go, and I hope to see you guys in the next video.